Chapter 81 Nameless Island. Preparations before the demonic disaster. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The evil disaster is coming. Normally, when Ho Xiangyang heard these 4 words, he would only think that the other person was suffering from a secondary disease in his mind, but now, after Ho Xiangyang heard this, his tiger body trembled, his expression immediately became extremely serious, and he asked in a deep voice, "Mr. Yunchen, what does this mean? Do you mean that a demonic disaster is coming to our real world, that he understands the meaning of demon disaster, because the background story of the game National Shelter is that players survive in a post-apocalyptic world where evil spirits have descended?" Ho Xiangyang felt uncontrollably nervous at the thought of the Black Mist demonic disaster in the game coming to this world. This is a turbulent event that will overturn the entire world. Yunchen's expression also became serious, he nodded and said solemnly, "Yes, that's exactly it." "Mr. Yunchen, how did you find out?" Ho Xiangyang asked hurriedly, "Speaking of the 2 special stones at the North and South Pole, various strange phenomena have indeed appeared recently, but it's a pity, there is no hint of the evil disaster coming to the world. How did Yunchen know?" "I met an NPC named Prophet in the game the day before yesterday. I completed the task he gave me, and then he gave this prophecy. Whether you believe it or not depends on you, Mr. Ho Xiangyang." Naturally, it was impossible for Yunchen to reveal his identity as a reborn person, so he just made up an excuse, but this excuse is very convincing, because Ho Xiangyang knew that the NPCs in this game did randomly release some tasks after meeting the players, since it was said by an NPC called the Prophet. Ho Xiangyang, as the person in charge of direct supervision of this game, must believe it. Yunchen suddenly whispered again, "After I completed the mission of the Prophet NPC, part of the scene after the magic disaster came to the world appeared on the screen of my phone." When Ho Xiangyang heard this, his face tightened, and he quickly asked, "Mr. Yunchen, can you tell me what the world will look like after the evil disaster comes? Also, what effective preventive measures do we need to take?" Yunchen didn't hesitate at all and told Ho Xiangyang in detail about the doomsday scenes of demonic disasters he had experienced in his previous life. After the demonic disaster strikes, what specific changes will occur to the entire world, and how should humans take effective self-protection and preventive measures, etc. It can be said that he knows everything and can express everything. After Ho Xiangyang listened carefully, he wondered if this Yunchen had personally experienced a demonic disaster before. The description is so detailed. The preventive measures given are too comprehensive. It's a very important matter. I have to report it to the big boss, who will make the final decision, Ho Xiangyang said solemnly. As the head of a department, the person he calls the big boss naturally represents the highest decision-making authority in the Dragon Kingdom. This further shows that Ho Xiangyang does not doubt everything Yunchen said. The main thing is that Yunchen has no need to lie at all. It's never a mistake to be careful. Looking at Ho Xiangyang's hurried-away figure, Yunchen sighed softly. The reason why he told such a secret matter to the officials of the Dragon Kingdom in advance was naturally because he did not want to see the innocent people of the Dragon Kingdom die due to lack of preparation when the evil disaster struck. This was the best he could do. After all, with his level and strength now, he is far from being able to kill those powerful evil gods when they come. Certainly, he is not the Holy Mother. He just wants to save the people of Dragon Kingdom. For people in other countries, sorry, I'm not familiar with you. For this reason, during the discussion with Ho Xiangyang, Yunchen also emphasized that no information about the coming of the demonic disaster should be leaked to the outside world. Confidentiality must be ensured. If this condition cannot be fulfilled, then whatever happens to Yunchen in the future will not be disclosed to the authorities. You may say that I, Yunchen, am stingy or ruthless. Anyway, we must not make other countries live too comfortably. In this life, the Dragon Kingdom should no longer be as miserable as in the previous life. This huge national machine is running according to the precautionary advice given by Yunchen. If nothing else, as long as the people do not seek death, there will be no problem in self-protection. Now, Yunchen clicked on his shelter information and looked at the Special Extended Structure column, Special Expansion Structure, Nameless Island. Explanation: a beautiful island covering an area of 1,000 square kilometers, rich in fresh water resources, and pleasant climate. It is worth mentioning that the area occupied by the special expansion structure is not included in the area of the shelter and is an independent and self-contained space. Would you like to enter the unnamed island? Yun-Chen immediately nodded yes, Buzz. The space rippled, and a space passage entrance appeared in front of Yun-Chen. Now that it already has the function of virtual visualization, this expanded Nameless Island can naturally be embodied in reality. Yun-Chen can open the space channel anytime and anywhere and step into it. Go to your own beautiful island. Without hesitation, he stepped in. His whole body felt a weightless feeling that could only be achieved through space teleportation, and his eyes were greeted by a brief darkness. Just 2 or 3 seconds, when Yun-Chen opened his eyes, what he saw was an island full of green, vibrant and pleasant climate. It's so big. If you contract an extraordinary beast in the future, you can send it here to graze. Yun-Chen pondered, and the most important thing is, in the future, when you are tired of killing monsters, you can come to this island to rest. The 4 seasons here are distinct and synchronized with the time of the outside world, but it exists independently and is not affected by the evil atmosphere of the outside world. Here, the sky and sea are still so blue, the air is still so fresh, and the flowers, plants and trees have not withered and are growing vigorously. It is simply a dream. Resort. You can also put the chicken pen here, let chickens, ducks and geese fly freely here, and the livestock raised in this way will have delicious and chewy meat, which is absolutely delicious. Speaking of which, during this time, Yun-Chen has stored a total of 50,000 processed chickens, ducks, geese, and pigs in the food warehouse in the shelter. The food warehouse in the shelter can not only store any food indefinitely, but the key is to preserve the freshness of the food permanently. Even if you store it for 3 to 5 years, when you take it out, the freshness will be different from that of freshly slaughtered meat. Also, during this period of time, Yun-Chen also asked the flower elf Yiyi to cultivate batches of vegetables and fruits for him. All are stored in the food warehouse. It can be said that, after the evil disaster comes, even if Yun-Chen doesn't go out and stays in the shelter as a homebody, as long as no evil god comes to his door, he can be stable for the rest of his life. Certainly, Yun-Chen also reminded Aunt Tang and asked her to stock up on food in advance. She didn't need to stock up in reality, just stock up in the game anyway. As long as a smelting room is built in the shelter, cooking can be done. Chapter 82. The demonic disaster is about to come. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Speaking of Aunt Tang, this little rich woman has been restless recently. Ever since Yun-Chen gave her land reclamation equipment and some resources, her growth rate has been unusually fast. I guess with good luck, I discovered a lot of precious resources along the way, opened a lot of treasure chests, my level soared, and there was never a shortage of rare equipment. The Waning Moon team who blocked Aunt Tang outside the entrance of the shelter was later sent back in revenge by Aunt Tang. He squatted in front of the opponent's shelter for 2 days. As a result, Team Zongyue immediately posted an apology and begged for mercy on the forum. Now, Aunt Tang, a little rich woman, seems to have formed an elite team called the 10 Miles of Flowers and Moons. Many first-tier extraordinary players have been recruited. On the forum, many players commented that the Shirley Huaihua team was the top team after the Kanglan Jiwei team. Yun-Chen was quite surprised when he learned the news. 10 Miles of Flowers and Moon team. He is also familiar with the name of this team. In the previous life, this team was indeed ranked behind the Kanglan Jiwei team in terms of strength. Moreover, when the Kanglan Jiwei team went to defeat the evil god, this team also joined in. Yun-Chen had very little contact with Shirley Huaihua team in his previous life. I didn't go out of my way to inquire about this team. But I never expected that this would be the team established by Aunt Tang, but no matter. What? Yun-Chen was relieved to see that Aunt Tang, a little rich woman, was doing well in the game. In this way, Aunt Tang will at least have the ability to protect herself when a demonic disaster strikes. Mr. Yun-Chen, aren't you going back? Now, Li Manny knocked on the door and asked softly. Other extraordinary players have returned to their cities by high-speed train. Only Yun-Chen didn't seem to be in a hurry. Yun-Chen smiled and said, "It's really not in a hurry. Arrive at 12 o'clock tomorrow night. The world is about to enter a dark age. When the time comes, it will be the same wherever he is. By the way, remember to be careful at 12 o'clock tomorrow night." Yun-Chen warned with a smile. When Li Manny heard this, her pretty face tightened and she said, "Mr. Yun-Chen, will there be foreign dark organizations coming to attack us, that she couldn't believe that the other party was so bold. No, but you must be careful. Yunchen didn't say much. For the next time, Yunchen lay lazily in the villa playing National Shelter. By the way, use up the number of almighty synthesis every day. Actually, it's not like Yunchen hasn't thought about synthesizing extraordinary runes, but the strange thing is that every time the synthesis of extraordinary runes results in unsatisfactory results, for example, elementary extraordinary rune, warrior, plus, frenzy fruit, plus, blood draining stone, Yunchen felt that no matter what he did, he could combine the extraordinary runes of the rare profession, blood warrior. The result? Bite. Synthesis successful. You have obtained the primary extraordinary rune, blood-blasting warrior. Are the bloody warriors powerful? It's quite powerful, the skill damage is very high, and it's pretty good among burst professions, but there is a very serious problem, that is, as the name of this profession implies, when you use skills, you have to consume a lot of health points. A skill consumes 30% of the current maximum health. At the same time, this profession has a passive talent, that is, the lower your HP, the higher the damage. This means that after you choose this profession, if you want to pursue the maximum explosion, you have to lower your blood volume. This is undoubtedly. You will put yourself in a very dangerous situation. Although you can get a high burst of damage by lowering your own blood volume, if you are touched by a monster, you will be in trouble. The game National Shelter originally only has one life for you to play every day. How can you explore if it's so easy to die? Besides, elementary extraordinary rune, mage, plus, explosive flame fruit, does it look like the extraordinary runes that can be combined to create the rare professional explosion mage? Result, bite. Synthesis successful. You have obtained the primary extraordinary rune, Fire Control Mage. As the name suggests, this is the mage profession that controls and utilizes flames. It's useless, because this profession does not have the ability to generate flames by itself, and this profession's skill can only control flames. What does that mean? This means that if the enemy you face is an extraordinary professional who does not use fire, then you will have no fire to control. Do you have to make a small fire before fighting? Besides, what can the flames of that small fire do? To put it bluntly, this is a career with environmental advantages. What does it mean? That is to say, if you are in a volcano burning with flames, the fire control mage will be directly invincible in the world. Just like the water control mage. There are many waste occupations in Sanctuary for all. Yunchen used almighty synthesis to synthesize the runes several times, but found that the results were unsatisfactory, so he stopped synthesizing the runes. In this regard, Yunchen was also helpless. You can't waste synthesis times. Almighty synthesis, although this talent is powerful, it does not guarantee that your synthesis results will be perfect every time. Currently, Yunchen can only wait for the magic disaster to come and see if he can get the talent upgrade stone. Upgrade this talent. In this way, the number of almighty synthesis will increase. In the blink of an eye, 2 days have passed. The time came to 11:30 in the evening, that is at this moment. Bite. Attention all server players. A big event is coming. After 30 minutes, endless demons will descend on Blue Star, the game will merge with reality, and the era of demonic doomsday will begin. All players please be prepared to face new challenges. Warm reminder, after the integration of the game and reality, most of the game functions will be retained. Please make good use of the shelter in your hands. This might save your life. Wow! When this server-wide announcement appeared on every player's mobile phone screen, all players around the world were shocked and made an uproar. Everyone looked at this announcement dumbfounded. Oh no! What's going on? Games and reality are about to merge. Oh my god! Is it true? You mean the monsters in the game will also come to reality? That's too exaggerated. Although I was also shocked, when I think about it carefully, it makes sense. After all, we can all bring the extraordinary power in the game into reality. On the World Channel, players have completely exploded. Everyone was extremely shocked by what was about to happen, but after being shocked for a while, I felt it was reasonable. Nothing too abrupt. Because in the past half-month, the first-tier players have brought extraordinary power into reality, everyone knows this game is extremely special. So now that the game is merging with reality, players are only shocked for a while, but they quickly come back to their senses. At the same time, the Dragon Kingdom Dawn Guild also posted a message on the Dark Explorer forum, named about various self-protection measures after the advent of evil disasters. Chapter 83 The Dark Ages are coming. The Evil Infant. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 2033, July 7th, 0:00. The Dark Demon Age has officially arrived. All humans will never forget what happened on this day, although all players have received a reminder half an hour in advance. Facing the sudden arrival of the evil demon, they still couldn't help but raise a wave of fear in their hearts. Boom. At this moment, a huge earthquake occurred on the surface of the blue planet. Above the sky, dark clouds were dense, lightning and thunder were roaring, and heavy rain was pouring down, and hidden behind the dark clouds, a pair of scarlet eyes containing endless evil seemed to be judging by the god of death, examining all the creatures on this endless earth. The hideous faces of the trolls were looming in the dark clouds. Space cracks spread in every corner of the world. These space cracks grew from small to large, like centipedes, crawling all over the sky, endless. Black evil fog spread from the cracks, and these black evil fogs accelerated to cover all parts of the world, and in an instant they permeated all areas. In the black fog, there was a deafening roar of monsters, which made everyone understand that the army of evil monsters would spread all over the land of Blue Star. Along with the black fog, the evil god invaded, and darkness descended. Blue Star ushered in the darkest era in history. Under the alien cracks, endless black fog was swallowed and spit out. In the black fog, there were countless armies of evil monsters. But darkness does not mean death. It does not mean despair. It does not mean the end. Unknown civilized lands, treasure caves, islands of hope, will also emerge in the world along with the black fog. Defeat the evil monsters. Explore the land of civilization treasures. All humans will have hope of survival. At this moment, in the minds of all human beings in the world, the incomparably vast and great voice of the will of Blue Star resounded. Your player identity has been detected, and your game warehouse has been activated. Your player identity has been detected, and your game backpack has been activated. You have obtained the extraordinary shelter core. All players will be randomly teleported to a corner of their country. After the teleportation is successful, you will have 60 seconds of invincibility to properly generate your shelter. Note, players who have not generated a shelter after 60 seconds will be in danger. Buzz. In the Phoenix Mountain Resort, the space around Yunshen has begun to distort. Not just him, Li Mani is the same. 2 seconds later, Yunshen was teleported to an unknown place full of black fog. You have entered the invincible state, which lasts for 60 seconds. Please use your extraordinary shelter core as soon as possible to generate a shelter to avoid the doomsday disaster. The level 20 shelter that Yunshen built in the game has now condensed into an ice blue gem in his hand. He did not rush to generate the shelter. Instead, he raised his head and looked up at the sky. What came into view was a huge and ferocious face of the evil god. At this moment, the evil god was as tall as the sky, and his scarlet eyes scanned all the creatures on the land of Shenzhou. Squeak! Not far from Yunshen, a cute little squirrel with pine nuts in its mouth fled in panic at the spreading black evil fog, but the little squirrel was too slow after all. It was swallowed up by the black fog in less than 2 seconds, and what was surprising was roar! Less than a second after being swallowed by the black fog, a bloodthirsty and brutal beast roar came. Looking around, boom! A huge squirrel man with explosive muscles, ferocious face and sharp teeth rushed out of the black fog. It hit the ground with its fists and actually hammered a hole in the cement road. Yunshen checked the other party's information. Monster, muscle squirrel man. Level 20. Description: the squirrel infected by the black evil fog has completely lost its mind, and only killing is in its eyes. The cute and well-behaved little squirrel was only swallowed by the black fog for a moment, and immediately turned into an evil monster. Yunshen's expression was very calm. He was accustomed to such a scene, and, He also knew that the black fog was spreading now, and the real moment of terror had not yet arrived. Yunchen retracted his gaze and placed the core of the extraordinary shelter on the ground. A virtual window popped up immediately. Please select the shelter landing point. You have selected the shelter generation location, 1,000 meters underground. In this kind of demonic doomsday, the shelter can only be generated underground, because only underground is the highest safety factor. The black fog will only spread on the surface. In the previous life, many humans who had not played this game were able to survive because they hid in the basement and escaped. Shelter has been generated. Yunchen was directly teleported into the shelter. What came into view was an extremely familiar interior layout. That's right, it was the shelter that he had built in the game, a luxurious underground shelter of 6,000 square meters. Warmth, temperature control, waterproof, everything is perfect. Not to mention, an invisible watchtower in the darkness, which constantly transmits the situation around the outside world to Yunchen in the form of video. At this moment, boom. The global surface shook again. The 60 seconds were up. The global surface area began to expand. Countless unknown civilizations, treasure spaces, and ancient ruins all appeared. And in the observation screen of Yunchen's watchtower, boom. A huge monster's thigh stepped down from the dark clouds in the sky like a pillar of support. The entire ground was sunken and collapsed by the huge monster's feet. The huge aftermath of the earthquake began to radiate rapidly and affect the surroundings. However, Yunchen didn't feel any shaking here. The earthquake resistance level of the 20-level shelter can easily avoid the impact of the aftermath of the earthquake. But then, Yunchen's expression began to become solemn. Because in the picture from the watchtower, an extremely terrifying existence appeared. I saw an extremely huge baby head poking out from the dark clouds. The eyes of the baby's head were two mouths full of hideous fangs. And its mouth was a blood-red magic eye. It has no nose, and its blood-red eyes keep scanning the creatures on the ground, the most evil baby. Yunchen wanted to check its level, but appeared, level is too high. Cannot check. On the first day of the demonic disaster, many extremely terrifying beings will appear in the black fog. With Yunchen's current level and strength, if he appears in front of these terrifying incarnations, he will be killed in less than a second. This is really not a joke. Yunchen is not too worried about this, because these extremely terrifying guys are only active on the first day of the demonic disaster, and they are just patrolling this land. Under normal circumstances, they will not go crazy. Chapter 84, The Era of Strength First. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yunchen is not the only one who encounters the most evil and terrifying existence. Around the world, many humans have witnessed a huge godlike creature descending on the surface of the earth. The world channel has been opened. Friend chat has been started. The trading function has been turned on. As time goes by, the functions in the game are also restored in reality. Now that the evil god has come, the world's electricity, network, and transportation, etc., all aspects have been completely collapsed. Fortunately, Blue Star will use his games as a medium to also cover this world. The current world channel function is the chat network module established by Blue Star's will. And the moment the world channel is restored, messages popped up crazily. It is worth mentioning that the world channel is divided into countries and regions. The information that Yunchen sees now are all messages from survivors in the country. What a fool. I didn't expect the game to really merge with reality. Thank you to the Dawn Guild. Thank you to the Dragon Kingdom official. Fortunately, after reading your post, I built the shelter underground, otherwise I would have been swallowed by those evil monsters now. Yeah. That post really saved my life. Oh my god. How come these evil monsters are more powerful than the Dark Warriors? Nonsense. We are not qualified to see the level of these terrifying existences. But it's okay. My brother is already an extraordinary professional. As long as these terrifying existences disappear, he will be a good man the next day. Anyway, for me, it's great. I used to be a social animal in the Black Heart Company, and now I'm no longer in prison. Ha! Damn it! Speaking of this, I hate it. My boss cheated on me. Once these horrible beings are gone, I will kill that black-hearted boss tomorrow. Upstairs, are you crazy? You can't kill people casually. It's against the law. You broke Mao's law. This is the Dark Age. Strength is the rule. I can kill whoever I want. There's nothing wrong. The world order has collapsed. Now it's a world where the strong are respected. The weak will all retreat, that you can tell, these guys have been frustrated in life for a long time. Now the Dark Age has arrived, evil spirits have descended, and the laws and orders of the world have collapsed, making the world completely free. What's more important is, the map sections of each country have undergone great changes, unknown places appear one after another, causing the global surface area to expand crazily. The size of Blue Star has expanded more than 100 times, the territory of Dragon Kingdom has expanded even more times. The huge changes in the section have made most of this world inaccessible and rarely explored. The distance between cities has also become out of reach. Let's put it this way, originally, it took less than half a day to fly from Jiangnan to Fengtian, but what about now? Even if you take a plane, it will probably take more than 10 days, not to mention that the global aviation system is now broken. Certainly, no need to panic. In the future, when you kill those evil monsters, the design drawings of various types of aircraft will be revealed. At the same time, after a certain period of time, countries will definitely recover again. The situation in the world has always been like this. If they are separated for a long time, they will not be united, but if they are united for a long time, they will be divided. Although the Dark Age has just arrived and the world is in chaos, with the passage of time and people's exploration, it will slowly return to its original appearance. Yunchen looked at the chat content on the World Channel and smiled slightly. Don't look at these guys chatting happily now. Then they will cry. What we are competing for now is real-life combat skills, not game skills, and only one life. In the game, after you die, at midnight the next day, you will be a hero again, but in reality, when you die, you are truly dead. Certainly, some advanced priest auxiliary professions have resurrection skills, which can resurrect objects killed within 60 seconds. The more advanced resurrection technique can resurrect objects that have been dead for up to 1 month. By the way, now the friend function has been turned on. Hurry up and add the old boss. That's it. Hurry up and join the boss and hug your thighs. I want to join Lu Chaoga. I want to join the Kanglan Jiwei team. I'll add Mr. Yunchen. This boss always has some top-notch treasures in his hands. Adding him as a friend will make it easier to purchase later. When Yunchen looked at his friend application, it already showed 999 plus. After he clicked on it, the first person in line to add himself was Lu Chaoga, and then, Tang Yan, Shen Lingshuang, Li Mani, Ho Xiangyang, Wang Xiaocong, Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi is the player with the ID Ku Yi. He bought his own equipment before, and later Yunchen asked him to help collect some infrastructure materials, and he was happy to help. These few people were acquaintances, so they passed through without any hesitation. Shen Lingshuang was originally blacklisted, but now that darkness has fallen, the friend system seems to have been reset and she has been released from the blacklist. Moreover, all player IDs have become their real names. This time, this is the real name system for accessing the internet. After passing the friend application, Yunchen immediately received messages one after another. Lu Chaoga, Mr. Yunchen, are you okay? That when this stunningly beautiful female CEO faced Yunchen, for some reason, her tone became gentler. Tang Yan, brother Yunchen, I pray you don't die. Aunt Tang is still so presumptuous. Shen Lingshuang, finally you are willing to add me, you stinky guy. Li Mani, brother Yunchen, you should be safe over there, right? Ho Xiangyang, Mr. Yunchen, is everything okay? Is it convenient to create a discussion group? Wang Xiaocong, brother Yunchen, do you know where you were randomly assigned to? I was randomly assigned to my hometown. Zhang Yi, brother Yunchen, let's team up together when we have time in the future. I'll be your little brother. Yunchen replied in unison, everything is fine, don't worry. In fact, Yunchen could feel the shock and surprise in these people's hearts. Ho Xiangyang created a discussion group. Yunchen and these friends were also there. Not only them, most of the first-tier players on the Dragon Country server are here. It is worth mentioning that Zhao Yuan and Lu Hu are also in the discussion group. These two guys were not killed by the Night Owl organization. What happened? Yunchen frowned. Based on his understanding of this organization, he knew that the other party could not be a merciful saint, even if Zhao Yuan and Lu Hu's family were willing to use their precious resources as ransom. The Night Owl organization would never let them go, but would choose to kill them directly. Unexpectedly, Zhao Yuan and Lu Hu survived safely and returned to the territory of Dragon Country. Yunchen narrowed his eyes slightly. This matter is too strange. It seems that I need to pay more attention. Chapter 85. It is easy to change the country but difficult to change one's nature. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guanxing Yue. Fortunately, the official issued a post before this to teach us how to protect ourselves, otherwise I don't know how many people would have died. Zhang Yi. Yes, I also chose to build the shelter underground to avoid the search of the terrifying entities on the ground. Wang Xiaocong. There should be some who don't listen to advice. They build their shelter on the surface. It's okay that they are not discovered by those terrifying entities. Once discovered, the fragile shelter cannot protect themselves. Lu Hu. Yes, but you can also build a shelter in a cave, which is also very safe. Zhao Yuan. By the way, everyone, are you all okay now? Do you need help? If you need help, feel free to ask. The originally lively discussion group suddenly became silent after Lu Hu and Zhao Yuan spoke. The atmosphere became awkward. Most players don't like these two guys, Zhao Yuan and Lu Hu, because these two guys are too arrogant. In the past, because I was a child of a noble family, I always looked down on others and looked down on many players. Therefore, in the eyes of many players, they have no favorable impression of these two guys, not to mention that now that the demonic disaster is coming, the influence of the wealthy families who used to be able to cover the sky in one city with one hand can be said to be greatly weakened. These players who have gained extraordinary power are no longer afraid, so they didn't give any face, which made the atmosphere in the group feel cold. Zhao Yuan. It seems that what Lu Hu and I did before really made everyone hate me. I apologize to everyone here. Now I have changed my mind and no longer look down on others. Lu Hu. Yes, I sincerely ask everyone to forgive us for our immaturity and irrationality before. I still hope to be able to live happily with everyone in the future. The moment the message between these two people was posted in the discussion group. Hiss. All the players couldn't help but gasp, their eyes widened, and their faces were full of shock. This, we are not dreaming, are we? Lu Hu and Zhao Yuan actually apologized to all players in such a sincere manner. After being taken away by the Night Owl organization for 2 days, he has changed so much after coming back. From an arrogant and dandy young man to a humble young man who understands politeness and etiquette. That's a bit outrageous. Shenling Shuang, are you two brains burned out? Phew. Shenling Shuang's words immediately made many players couldn't help laughing. This eldest lady must be great. There is no need to be afraid of the other party at all. The Shen family was not weak in Fengtian City, let alone having Lu Chaoga as her cousin, so no matter which aristocratic family member Shenling Shuang met, there was no need to give any face. Zhao Yuan. It must have been burned out, but luckily it was burned out. Otherwise I wouldn't have become so mature. Lu Hu, I would like to apologize to everyone again. I'm sorry. I beg everyone to forgive me. If we meet again in the future, we can form a team to kill monsters and work together to upgrade. Seeing that these two people had reached this point, Ho Xiangyang, as the leader of the discussion group, could only come out to smooth things over. Well, it's enough for you two to sincerely apologize. Let's get down to business now. First of all, let me mention that the post about how to protect yourself after a demonic disaster strikes, although it was officially written by us, the opinion was given by Mr. Yunchen. So I want to thank you. I have to thank Mr. Yunchen. He saved the lives of thousands of people in our Dragon Kingdom. Mentioned Yunchen, the atmosphere in the discussion group suddenly became relaxed and happy again. Zhang Yi, I knew that Mr. Yunchen must have contributed to it. Thank you, Mr. Yunchen. Save my life. Guan Xingyue, can you stop being such a licker? Boss Yunchen, this little girl's profession is a priest, but she is much more useful than Zhang Yi, who is an assassin. If it is convenient to upgrade in the future, please take this little girl with you. Little girl, you are always welcome. By the way, do you want to come to my shelter as a guest? The door of my shelter is always open for you. Guan Xingyue, the eldest lady of the Guan family, the original game ID was Xing Ji, and like Shenling Shuang, she was the campus beauty of Fengtian University. No one expected that the eldest lady of the Guan family would be so bold and want to ask Yunchen to live in her shelter without saying a word. With a man and a woman alone in the same room, any fool would know what Guan Xingyue was thinking, as an opponent. Shenling Shuang jumped out to speak when she saw that Guan Xingyue actually wanted to draw Yunchen over there. Shenling Shuang, you little bitch, go ahead. Yunchen is going to join my cousin's team. Guan Xingyue, humph, you just joined when you said you wanted to? Have you asked Boss Yunchen? Shenling Shuang, I remember you were not so bold, right? Guan Xingyue, I'm only open to Boss Yunchen. Everyone. Yunchen looked at the chat content in the discussion group and couldn't help but smile bitterly. He is just a screen diver. I didn't expect that we would always talk about him during the conversation today. Just when he wanted to close the discussion group, a piece of information suddenly made all the players in the audience freeze. Lu Chaoga, Yunchen is the person I like, no one can steal him. Quiet, deathly silence. The facial expressions of all the players who were hiding in the shelter and chatting leisurely on the sofa could be described as extremely shocked, because this is the first time they have seen Lu Chaoga openly. Declare ownership of a member of the opposite sex. Lu Chaoga seemed to feel that his words were too straightforward, and he typed again in a hurry. Lu Chaoga, sorry, the meaning may be a little wrong. What I mean is that I want Yunchen to join the Kangguan ZY team. Everyone. Yunchen rubbed his brows. What Lu Chaoga said was too easy to be misunderstood. Fortunately, Yunchen knew himself. I never thought that this kind of woman, who can be said to be the top beauty in the world, would have any good feelings towards me. The discussion group continued to restore the happy chat atmosphere. Zhao Yuan and Lu Hu also slowly chatted happily with everyone. However, Yunchen sent private messages to Lu Chaoga, Aunt Tang, Li Mani, Ho Xiangyang, and Shenling Shuang. Tell them not to relax there. Vigilance and pay attention to Zhao Yuan and Lu Hu. There must be something wrong when things are abnormal, and there is an old saying, it is difficult to change a person's nature. Yunchen didn't believe that Zhao Yuan and Lu Hu, who had been arrogant all their lives, would suddenly become so good. The problem should be with the Night Owl organization. These friends also replied to Yunchen with a serious face, saying that they would pay attention. Just when Yunchen opened the virtual panel and was about to make a voice call to chat with Aunt Tang, ding. Prompt, a strange creature appeared outside your shelter. Do you want to activate the laser cannon of the watchtower to kill it? Chapter 86, The Successor of the Ancient God of Magic. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing this prompt, Yunchen's expression immediately became solemn. My luck is a bit bad. He couldn't help but murmured, on the first day of the demonic disaster, the best choice is to stay in the shelter and wait for the arrival of the second day, because on the first day, all kinds of monsters and demons appeared from the black evil fog. At this moment, on the first day, a strange creature broke into the attack range of the watchtower. For Yunchen, it was not good news. The strange creature outside might be an extremely evil existence with extremely terrifying strength, and even its level could not be detected. But no matter what, the strange creature has entered the detection range and must be checked. Yunchen lightly clicked, and a real-time observation screen of the watchtower appeared in front of him. I saw that the endless black fog was constantly rolling. A petite figure staggered forward. The camera zoomed in and saw. It turned out to be a little girl with empty eyes, expressionless face, dirty body, and only a torn linen skirt on her body. So hungry. So hungry. So hungry. The dirty little girl's hair was too long, covering most of her face, but she kept muttering the word so hungry as she staggered. Yunchen frowned. Is this, a wanderer? That the so-called wanderer is a neutral creature that wanders around aimlessly. It is an existence that many players want to meet, because some special wanderers may have some mysterious inheritance from ancient times. In his previous life, Yunchen took in a dirty uncle, and he ended up carrying the inheritance of a master craftsman. Later, he became a weapon master craftsman in Yunchen's shelter, who could specially create powerful weapons for Yunchen and give weapons additional attribute entries. Of course, these wanderers have their own intelligence and thoughts. They are not robots, nor NPCs, but living creatures. So hungry. The little girl walked towards Yunchen's watchtower step by step. To be honest, Yunchen was a little hesitant, because he couldn't be sure whether this little girl was really a wanderer. There are also some evil creatures with secret abilities who know how to disguise themselves as humans to deceive others. Do you want to go out and take a look? Going out is very dangerous and may attract the attention of a terrifying existence. If you don't go out, if this little girl is really a wanderer, then it is estimated that a monster will jump out of the black fog and devour her completely in a short while, and, if this little girl is a wanderer, then she is a living person. To be honest, Yunchen, who has experienced hardships in his previous life, will not have any fluctuations in his heart for those adult men and women, even if they die outside. But if it is an innocent and ignorant child, Yunchen's last bit of conscience that has not yet disappeared will prompt him to have compassion. At least he doesn't want to watch an innocent child die in the mouth of an evil monster. It would be better if he didn't have the ability to save him, but the problem is that he has the ability to save him now. It just requires a certain risk. Is it worth it? Yunchen now asks his heart, or should he just watch from the sidelines? That's all. Yunchen sighed. Sometimes you don't need to think about whether it's worth it to do something, just do it if you want to. At least, Yunchen wants to save this dirty little girl now. Since he has made up his mind, there will be no hesitation. Yunchen took the elevator to the surface. The moment he came to the ground, buzz. He was faced with an extremely terrifying pressure from the evil god. On the first day of the demonic disaster, the supreme demonic power of the evil god will fill the entire world, as if announcing their power to the world. Yunchen looked at his level attributes. Although it is still level 45, the four-dimensional attributes have been reduced to 0 points. This is the power of the evil god. The light of spreading is enough to make Yunchen's four-dimensional attributes return to 0. If an evil creature pounces on him now, Yunchen can't deal with it at all. Of course, the teleportation function of the shelter can still be used. Yunchen was fully focused, and came to the little girl, and slapped her face. However, the little girl just looked up and looked at Yunchen blankly. Very good. She didn't turn into an evil creature. If it were those evil creatures, if they were slapped like this, they would have bitten at him with their teeth bared. Yunchen had tried it in his previous life. It was very exciting. In the eyes of these evil monsters, any human who did not submit and believed in the evil god was an ant. No matter how strong their patience was, they could not stand these ants slapping themselves. Because they claimed to represent the evil god and came to this world to rule all creatures, their faces being slapped was equivalent to the evil god's face being slapped. It was especially unbearable. After confirming that the little girl was a wanderer, Yunchen immediately carried the little girl on his shoulders and used teleportation directly. Buzz! Yunchen's figure disappeared on the spot, that is, in the next second. Click. The ground where Yunchen was originally standing, suddenly an extremely huge ghost hand stretched out from the void, and with one punch, it smashed the space there into pieces. Yunchen, who had just teleported back to the shelter, despite his extremely calm temperament, could not help but break out in cold sweat when he saw this scene. Good guy. Fortunately it went fast. If he had been just 1 second late, Yunchen would have been punched into pieces by the unknown giant ghost hand. Really, as soon as he went out, he was noticed by a terrifying demonic being. From a very long distance, he was almost beaten to death by the opponent. Fortunately, the ghost hand didn't linger on, and after one missed blow, it dissipated on the spot. But if Yunchen is killed, he won't risk going out again. It's so dangerous. I almost said goodbye. After compiling his emotions, Yunchen lowered his head and looked at the little girl who was brought back by him. She stretched out her little hand and gently tugged at the corner of Yunchen's clothes. The other little hand touched her belly and said in a low voice, "I'm hungry." Then wait a moment. Yunchen smiled and touched the little girl's head, turning around and entering the kitchen. various option buttons appeared in front of me. Yunchen chose a roast chicken, a bowl of white rice porridge and a plate of fried vegetables with garlic, less than 10 seconds. With a ding, the kitchen automatically prepared the dishes. The kitchen in a shelter is indeed more convenient than an ordinary kitchen, as long as you have the ingredients. You can easily make it with a few clicks of your fingers. When the food was brought out, the little girl's eyes, which were originally dull and expressionless, suddenly flickered like gems, and a happy smile appeared on the corners of her mouth. Then he pounced over and ate hungrily. Eat slowly. Yunchen patted her back. At the same time, I checked the other party's information. You don't know this by looking at it, but you will be shocked when you look at it. Wanderer, the Nameless One, successor of the ancient Dharma God. Level 40. Occupation, Elemental Mage. Talents, Endless Spells, SSS, Deadly Spells, SSS, Wandless Spellcasting, SSS, Rapid Spellcasting, SSS, Elemental Control, SSS. Skills, none. Equipment, none. Yunchen. Chapter 87 Yiyi's Great Crisis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Endless Spells, SSS. The cooldown time of all spell skills is reduced by 80%, and the mana cost is reduced by 90%. After each of your spell skills hits an enemy, the cooldown time of all skills will be reduced by 10 seconds. Fatal Spells, SSS. All your legal skills can ignore 80% of the target's spell resistance, and when all legal skills are released, their power will be randomly increased by 10 to 100 times. Standless Spellcasting, SSS. Even if you are not equipped with a weapon, you can also cast any magic skill. If you cast a magic skill without equipping a weapon, the CD of this skill will be reduced by an additional 10 seconds. Speed Casting, SSS. When releasing magic skills, S level or lower skills do not need to read the spell and are released directly. SS level or above skills reduce the casting time by 80%. Element Control, SSS. Your control over the types of magic elements is no longer limited. The more magic elements you control, the more your overall attributes will be improved. If Lu Chaoga, Li Mani, Tang Yen and others were present, they would definitely see that Yunchen, who had always been calm, looked stunned at this moment. The pupils shrank due to the extreme shock. Even though Yunchen had gone through countless ups and downs in his previous life and boasted that he had developed a calm mind that would not change even if the mountain collapsed, but when he saw the message from the little girl in front of him, he couldn't help but show surprise. Exaggerate. Outrageous, evildoer, unbelievable. Yunchen swore that this was the most shocking homeless person he had ever seen. Yunchen had seen quite a lot of the successors of various ancient powerful beings such as the God of Magic, the God of Swords, the God of Martial Arts, the God of Swords, the God of Mechanics, etc. in his previous life, but these heirs have inherited 2 talents. The rest are S-level or A-level talents, and what about the little girl in front of me? But he inherited 5 talents at once. And every step is SSS level. Yunchen wanted to ask the little girl, are you the protagonist or am I the protagonist? I didn't know what to expect. I watched 6 hours of rubbish promotional videos before I got an SSS level talent. After running out of tricks in the Dark Valley, I got a gifted random stone. After some bad luck, I finally got an SSS level talent. It turns out that you, a little girl, have no martial ethics and are born with 5 SSS level legal talents. How do you let those mage players live? Where do you want me, the protagonist, to put my face? He was complaining in his heart, but Yunchen was actually happy. Why? Because he was such an outrageous wanderer. He took him in. I really didn't expect that on the first day of this evil disaster, he would be given such a big gift, and at this time, the corner of Yunchen's clothes was gently pulled. Looking down, I saw that the little girl had finished eating. I'm hungry. The little girl opened her big, round eyes and looked at Yunchen expressionlessly. Still hungry. Yunchen glanced at the dining table. A roast chicken, a large bowl of rice, and a whole plate of fried vegetables had all been swept away. Only some chicken bones were left on the dinner plate. For a child, this is not a small amount of food. Wait a minute, I'll get you some food. Yunchen said with a smile. Fortunately, the landlord's family has plenty of food left over. Soon, a roast duck, a roast chicken, 3 bowls of rice, a plate of fried meat with green pepper, and 2 plates of green vegetables were brought out by Yun Chen. The little girl was like a little glutton, looking at these delicious dishes with gleaming eyes, but this time, she was not as hungry as before. Instead, he looked at Yun Chen with his eyes that were like red gems, as if asking Yun Chen, "Can I continue to eat these?" The reason why she was in such a hurry to eat just now was that she was probably crazy from hunger. When people are so hungry that they want to take a bite of the bark of a tree, now after eating roasted chicken, rice and vegetables, her numb consciousness returned to normal. At least she knew some basic etiquette. Seeing such a well-behaved little girl, Yun Chen smiled and said, "Eat, it's all prepared for you." When the little girl saw Yun Chen nodding in agreement, her red eyes showed a visibly happy look, and she turned around and continued eating happily. Babble, at this time, the flower elf Yiyi flew out from the garden soil area and looked at the little girl curiously. A special extension area of a shelter is a separate space and is not included in the shelter's footprint. Since the sanctuary was upgraded to level 20, the garden area of flower elf Yiyi has also been greatly expanded. Now there are 1,000 square meters. She planted all kinds of beautiful flowers, plants and vegetables inside. All the vegetables in Yun Chen's food warehouse were cultivated by Yiyi. The flower elf is not big, only about the size of a palm, like a butterfly. She just wanted to fly closer and take a closer look at this little girl, but I never thought, aha. The little girl who was eating suddenly raised her head, stretched out her oily little hand at lightning speed, and caught Yiyi. Babble. Yiyi's face was full of horror. She didn't expect that this strange little girl would suddenly attack her. The key is that it's so fast. And what frightened Yiyi next was, ouch. The little girl opened her mouth and was about to stuff Yiyi into her mouth. Master, help me. Yiyi made a sharp cry. Yun Chen had no choice but to grab the little girl's arm to stop her from putting Yiyi into her mouth. The little girl opened her round eyes and stared at Yun Chen blankly. She didn't say anything, but handed Yiyi in her hand to Yun Chen. As if saying, "Do you want to eat it too?" Yun Chen smiled bitterly and said, "No, I don't. The flower elf in your hand is our partner. No one can eat it." Partner. The little girl tilted her head, and didn't seem to understand what a partner was, but when she heard Yun Chen say that this flower elf couldn't be eaten, she let go of her hand obediently. Yiyi broke free from the restraints, but found that she was covered in oil stains. She yelled at the little girl angrily, and then went back to the garden soil space. She had to go back to take a shower. The little girl didn't care about Yiyi's roar, but continued to stare at Yun Chen blankly. Yun Chen looked at the dirty little girl with messy hair, squatted down, and asked with a smile, "What's your name?" The little girl shook her head and didn't say anything, still staring at Yun Chen intently. Seeing that the little girl didn't answer, Yun Chen didn't mind. Many vagrants become numb in consciousness and personality after wandering outside for a long time. Looking at the dirty little girl, you can tell that she has been wandering outside for a long time. Add to that the swift movement she showed when she tried to catch Yiyi just now. Yun Chen felt that even if this little girl didn't have any skills, her fighting power was definitely not low, but don't think too much about it for now. "You are too dirty, I'll take you to the bathroom to take a shower." Yun Chen turned around, but the little girl was still standing there blankly. Yun Chen had no choice but to go over, take her greasy little hand, and lead her forward. The little girl then moved her legs. Chapter 88. The contract was successful. Named Lilith. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although the name of this little girl is nameless in her basic information, but in fact, many vagrants had their own names before. Some still remember, some don't remember. Right now, Yun Chen took the little girl to the bathroom and put hot water in the bathtub. He wanted to tell the little girl to wash herself, but the little girl would just stand there and stare at Yun Chen blankly. It seems that she doesn't know how to bathe herself. Yun Chen had no choice but to roll up his sleeves and help the little girl bathe himself. Half an hour later, Yun Chen walked out of the bathroom with the little girl. The original hair color of the little girl was gray-black, but after washing it, Yun Chen found that it was white. Yun Chen didn't have clothes for children here, so he had to cut his clothes short and put them on the little girl. It looked like the little girl was wearing an extremely wide long skirt, but I have to say, this little girl is really pretty, with a cute and delicate appearance, which makes people like her, and her eyes are a rare red, but the little girl looks a little dazed, and her eyes are always looking at Yunchen. Yunchen touched his face, not understanding why this little girl always stared at him. Yunchen sat on the sofa, held the little girl in his arms, and dried her hair with a towel. He didn't use a hairdryer because he thought it would damage the child's hair. In fact, this little girl is already level 40 and has extraordinary power, so the hairdryer can't hurt her hair at all. The little girl was held in Yunchen's arms, and she didn't resist, but squinted her eyes, like a cat, showing an expression of enjoyment. At this moment, a virtual pop-up window appeared in front of Yunchen. The Wanderer's favorability towards you has increased to 90%, and you have obtained the qualification to sign a contract with him. Do you choose to sign a contract with him? It is not that you can definitely make a contract with a Wanderer just because you adopt him. In general, you need to make the Wanderer's favorability towards you reach more than 70% before you can get the qualification to sign a contract with him. Of course, there are also some extraordinary professionals who choose to temporarily take in Wanderers, and then increase the Wanderer's favorability towards themselves through daily interactions. In addition, some Wanderers will issue trial tasks to the player after completing the trial tasks, you can successfully make a contract with him. The heir of the Godcrafter who made a contract with Yunchen in the previous life was also impressed by Yunchen's outstanding combat power and the ultimate use of various weapons, and was thus contracted by Yunchen. Generally speaking, the stronger the strength and the greater the potential of the Wanderer, the more difficult it is for you to make a contract with him. When Yunchen saw the shocking and powerful talents of the little girl, he was happy, but also a little worried in his heart. I think it is difficult to make a contract with this little girl. Unexpectedly, he suddenly got the qualification to make a contract with her. Looking at the little girl who had fallen asleep in his arms, Yunchen could feel that her tense nerves had finally relaxed completely. How should I put it? When I just brought the little girl back to the shelter, she was wolfing down her food. While looking at Yunchen with a little vigilance, she was like a little tiger that was eating but alert to the surrounding environment. From this, it can be seen that the little girl's life when she was wandering must have been very difficult, so much so that even after she entered the shelter, her nerves were still tense. Until now, the little girl completely trusted Yunchen and fell asleep tiredly in Yunchen's arms. Yunchen did not hesitate and immediately chose to make a contract with the little girl. The contract was successful. Please give your servant a name. Yunchen thought about it and immediately named it Lilith. The naming was successful. You have obtained a new servant. Yunchen gently picked up Lilith, put her on the soft and comfortable big bed in the second bedroom, covered her with a quilt, and wanted to get up and leave, but who knew that Yunchen's fingers were tightly held by the little girl's hands. She was quite strong. Yunchen tried to pry them apart, but Lilith suddenly opened her eyes that looked like red gems, and with a somersault, she jumped into Yunchen's arms again. Looking at Lilith who was holding him like an octopus and refused to let go, Yunchen smiled helplessly. He wanted to communicate with her, but Lilith didn't listen at all, and just buried her little face in Yunchen's arms. Yunchen had no choice but to lie on the bed with her. Lilith closed her eyes at ease, but she still held Yunchen tightly, as if she was afraid that Yunchen would run away. Yunchen opened the virtual panel of the World Channel. The heated discussion continued. Even if the evil God came, the will of Blue Star still built an interconnection platform for all players. As expected, many people in the World Channel of the Dragon Country server mentioned the topic of Wanderers. Brothers, I'm so happy. You won't believe it. I have a Wanderer here, and he is the successor of the God of Cooking. I will have a good time in the future, haha. TSK, what's that? I have also contracted a successor of the God of War, who has 2 SSS level talents. I envy you. But are you sure you can contract with a Wanderer of this level? That's right. The stronger the Wanderer, the harder it is to gain their recognition. I'm afraid that the successor of the God of War will not contract with you and continue to wander. Don't say it. I just met a successor of the God of Sword, but he just looked at me and said, "A rotten tree cannot be carved," and then left without looking back. Haha. You are so unlucky, that it can be seen that the probability of Wanderers appearing on the first day of the demonic disaster is very high. Many players have encountered them, but whether they can grasp it and successfully sign a contract with them depends on the individual. Yunchen glanced at the cute little girl sleeping in his arms and smiled with emotion. The successor of the god of law that he met should be the easiest to contract, right? However, just as Yunchen thought about it, several players in the World Channel spoke up. You are just a little bit of a scumbag, not good enough. Before the demonic disaster came, I met a very exaggerated wanderer. He has 5 SSS level talents. He is also the successor of the god of law. In the end, I failed to contract him. What a pity. This player just finished speaking, another player sent a message, the message of this player appeared, and all the players' expressions froze, because this player is none other than Lu Chaoga. The successor of the god of law you are talking about is a little girl, right? I also met her, but I didn't contract with her and didn't get her recognition. As soon as this was said, many players were shocked, even Lu Chaoga, a top-level genius, couldn't get the recognition of the successor of the god of law. And Yunchen looked at Lilith, who was sleeping in his arms, with a strange look in his eyes. Could Lu Chaoga be talking about this little girl? Chapter 89 Shocking Everyone. Preparation before exploration. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After thinking for a while, Yunchen took a photo of the sleeping girl in his arms with his mobile phone, then he opened the World Channel, connected the mobile phone data, and sent the photo of the little girl. At the same time, he wrote, "Is the successor of the god of law you are talking about this little girl?" In order to facilitate all players to communicate with each other, Blue Star will build an internet network. Even if the doomsday comes, players around the world can communicate. Through the World Channel, Team Channel, and Friend Channel, and each player's mobile phone is bound, players can connect their mobile phone data to the network carried by Blue Star will at any time. At this moment, when Yunchen sent the photo of Lilith sleeping in his arms to the World Channel, the next second. Fuck. Boss Yunchen. You actually contracted this extremely evil wanderer. Hiss. What kind of luck is this? Boss Yunchen, you really contracted it. This. It can be seen, many players have met this white-haired little girl before the arrival of the demonic disaster, but unfortunately, they failed to successfully contract, thus, they regrettably missed such a monstrous wanderer, but, they never expected that the wanderer they had dreamed of contracting was now contracted by Yunchen. On the other side, in an underground shelter with very simple and exquisite decoration, Lu Chaoga, who was elegantly drinking black tea, saw the photo sent by Yunchen, and her cold and beautiful face was also stagnant. The monstrous successor of the god of law was actually successfully contracted. Lu Chaoga muttered to herself in surprise. She had met this little girl in the game before, and also tried to contract with her. However, it was useless. The main reason was, this little girl was stubborn. She ate the food she was given, but she was still dumbfounded and didn't speak. No matter what Lu Chaoga said, the other party was dumbfounded, so that she had no way to start, and the little girl stayed in the shelter for 5 days. After 5 days, the little girl left by herself and disappeared from Lu Chaoga's sight. Lu Chaoga knew that he had not been recognized by the other party. Sister Chaoga, how did this guy get the contract with that silly little girl? On the side, Shenling Shuang also came to Lu Chaoga's shelter as a guest. Lu Menjing was quietly browsing her phone next to her. All shelters will have their own energy blocks as long as they are upgraded to level 2, with energy blocks, there is no need to worry about the electricity consumption of the shelter, of course. This energy block needs to burn energy materials such as oil, to generate electricity. In real life, oil needs to be mined, but in this world where games and reality are integrated, basic energy materials will drop by killing monsters, and you can also explore some special mountain maps to mine. There is electricity and a network carried by the will of the Blue Star. All electronic products are not scrapped. I don't know how Yunchen got the recognition of that little girl. But fortunately, this successor of the god of law was obtained by Yunchen. If it was obtained by some evil-minded criminals, the consequences would be disastrous. Lu Chaoga said softly. At the same time, he couldn't help but admire that he was indeed a man I favored. This little girl is too evil. Once she is trained by an evil organization or a criminal, she will definitely be a powerful big boss in the future. Now that she is contracted by Yunchen, it is a good result. Then I'll ask him. Shenling Shuang was very curious. In fact, before she asked, there were already players in the world channel speaking. Boss Yunchen, can you tell me how you successfully contracted this little girl? Same question, same question. I want to know how this kind of wanderer can get the other party's recognition. Boss Yunchen has experience, tell us, that the three players Wang Xiaozong, Zhang Yi, and Guan Xingyue immediately popped up to ask. The other players also sat in their shelters, staring at the chat box projected by the holographic projection. Anyway, it is so dangerous outside now, and we can only start exploring the next day, then everyone can only communicate here. Yunchen couldn't help but laugh bitterly when he saw these questions, how to get the approval of this little girl. He didn't know either. Inexplicably, he could make a contract. Yunchen, if I say, I don't know how I got her approval, do you believe it? That the world channel immediately became quiet. Even if he couldn't see these players, Yunchen knew that the other party was definitely showing an expression of disbelief, maybe in their eyes. Yunchen said this deliberately to hide it, but he really didn't. Yunchen, I just fed her a full meal, and then helped her bathe and wipe her hair, and then she was willing to make a contract with me. Players. Good guy. According to this statement, it is really a bit inexplicable. Yunchen, okay, everyone go and rest. We can start exploring at midnight tonight. The demonic disaster has just arrived, and there are many opportunities waiting for us to explore. All the players agreed after hearing this, all are looking forward to the arrival of midnight. And at this moment, one after another, team-up information was sent to Yunchen. Without exception, Yunchen refused, and he stated that he only wanted to explore alone and did not want to form a team. Yunchen wanted to get up, but Lilith hugged him too tightly, so he had to lie on the bed, open his backpack, and prepare the combat supplies for the exploration later. The ever-burning fire stick is definitely needed. The world has been covered by the black evil fog. Except for the map that the player has explored, the black fog is everywhere. However, the location of Yunchen's shelter has been randomly reset now, and the surrounding maps must be slowly explored to reveal the true appearance under the fog. In addition, 2 bottles of high-level blood medicine, which is made of frost snow lotus. After use, it can restore 80% of its maximum health in 1 second. 2 bottles of high-level blue medicine, also made of frost snow lotus, used to restore blue, the life-extending pill. After use, even if you are fatally injured, you can be resurrected once on the spot, and restore 70% of your maximum health. In blue, paralysis bomb, explosives, plus, paralysis powder, plus, bone flower, synthesis. Even a level 55 monster can be paralyzed for 10 to 20 seconds. Agility potion, can increase your own agility. Critical potion, increase your own critical damage and critical rate. Now it is not in the game. If you die in the hands of monsters or players, you will really die, so Yunchen must be fully prepared and cautious. Only in this way can you live long in this demonic apocalypse. Chapter 90 Powerful Lilith. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, it was midnight in the morning. In 5 minutes, Yunchen used the watchtower to look at the scene outside. Black fog filled the air, but the terrifying evil giant shadows that had been wandering in the black fog had disappeared. The pressure of the evil god that you can feel even when you are hiding in the shelter has completely disappeared. These most evil and terrifying existences have wandered around the globe and announced their arrival to the world before finally returning to their home base. Certainly, it was also because blue stars will gradually regained its energy and began to suppress them, making it impossible for them to walk freely on the surface of blue star like they do today. The evil god is fighting against blue star's will, but the evil god's generals and monsters will spread all over the world. What remains is a vast war between humans and many evil monsters. Yunchen came to the elevator door, but the little girl Lilith was already rubbing her sleepy eyes, came behind Yunchen, and pulled the hem of Yunchen's clothes with her white and tender hands. Do you want to explore with me too? Yunchen knelt down, looked at this little girl who looked to be only 7 or 8 years old, and touched her head. Lilith didn't say anything, but she was like a chicken pecking at rice, expressing that she wanted to go along. No, it's too dangerous outside. Yunchen shook his head. Dangerous indeed. Yunchen didn't even know which map he was near outside now. You have to explore step by step to find out. Taking a little girl to explore would be too dangerous. Sometimes it may be difficult for Yunchen to protect himself, let alone take care of a child. I'm very strong. However, Lilith pointed at herself and said seriously. Okay, Lilith, just stay at home and I'll go. The word "hui" was not finished. Bang! The little girl suddenly punched the wall nearby. Yun Chen's eyes widened, his expression extremely surprised, because this little girl actually dented the wall of the shelter with one punch. Oh my god! You must know that this shelter in Yunchen is level 20. Not those little Karami who are only at level 4, even if a level 50 evil monster attacks, Yun Chen can guarantee that he can safely block it and the shelter will not be damaged in any way. Result, this little girl Lilith can actually dent the walls of this shelter with just one punch. I'm very strong. At this moment, the little girl repeated it again seriously, said, as if to prove to Yun Chen, she raised her fist again. No, don't hit me again, I believe you are very strong. Yun Chen quickly held the little girl's wrist to prevent her from continuing to hit her. I thought to myself, isn't this little girl's extraordinary profession a mage? Why is his physical strength so terrifying? Okay, then you can go out and explore with me. Yun Chen touched the little girl's head and had no choice but to obey her, otherwise, he was afraid that this little girl would bang around in the shelter, and when he came back, he would see his shelter in ruins. How bad. Since you are out exploring, you can't wear this dress. Come on, put on these equipment. Yun Chen took out some high-level mage equipment around level 35 from his inventory and put it on the little girl. High-end equipment has the effect of fashion transformation, can perfectly adapt to the wearer's body size. Your servant Lilith has been equipped with the red water robe. Your servant Lilith has been equipped with the red water staff. Your servant Lilith has been equipped with agility boots. Although the little girl has the talent of casting spells without a wand, she can equip weapons, because weapons have attribute bonuses. Babble. At this time, the flower elf Yiyi also flew out of the garden soil space and came to Yun Chen's side, saying that she also wanted to explore together. When Lilith saw the flower elf Yiyi appeared, she couldn't help but want to catch her. Fortunately, Yun Chen caught the little girl and warned, Yiyi is our partner, not food. Don't catch her to eat, you understand? Lilith tilted her little head, looked at Yun Chen, and nodded blankly, indicating that she understood. Only then did Yiyi dare to fly onto Yun Chen's shoulders. That's all. Yun Chen, who was fully armed, and the little girl who was also fully armed, took a flower elf and set out to explore. After taking the elevator to the surface, it turned out that without the pressure of the evil god, his attributes were not affected at all. At a glance, there is nothing but black evil mist filled with ominous aura. A look of fear appeared on the little face of the flower elf Yiyi, but the little girl Lilith was not afraid at all and looked at the black evil mist without fear. I can understand that too. The little girl must have been homeless for a long time. During this time of wandering, she must have encountered many monsters. The fact that the little girl can survive from the mouths of these monsters shows that she is quite capable. One can even say, the little girl has long been accustomed to walking in the dark mist. At least Yun Chen didn't dare to walk like a little girl without using tools to dispel the black mist, because then, you can't see clearly what monsters are in the black fog, which undoubtedly increases the danger. Now, Yun Chen took out the ever-burning fire stick. The dazzling flames shone all around, dispelling the black fog within a radius of 50 meters around Yun Chen. The sun rises in the east, so let's go east. If you don't know where to explore, just choose it at random. Yun Chen has always been very casual about the direction of exploration. The two people and the elf walked forward for 5 minutes and met the first monster. Monster, Nightmare Snake Warrior. Level 35. Description: the warriors of the snake tribe are now infected by the breath of the evil god and turned into evil monsters. Roar. After the Nightmare Snake Warrior felt Yun Chen's breath, he roared, holding a large scimitar, and the snake body of the lower body twisted quickly, attacking Yun Chen. Yun Chen raised his eyebrows and was about to take action, but, swish. The little girl Lilith rushed out faster than Yun Chen. Fast. This girl is so fast. Yun Chen even saw the afterimage of the little girl. Lilith came to the Nightmare Snake Warrior in an instant, holding the red water staff in her hand, jumped high, and smashed the Nightmare Snake Warrior's head hard. Bang. Then Yun Chen saw that such a level 35 Nightmare Snake Warrior was hit in the head by Lilith. Ding! Your servant Lilith defeated the Nightmare Snake Warrior, and you gained 1000 experience points. This, good guy. It was a direct kill,